Hi, this is Wishop. Welcome to your reading. This will be a tarot and oracle reading for the Cancer full moon of January 12th, 2017. An important thing about this full moon, I believe, is to look back to the Cancer new moon of last July and see where the activities or the goals or the endeavors that you're taking on, your wishes, your desires, match up now with what you were doing then, but also with the realization of how different you are, how things have changed. I had talked about the idea last year that we were seeking liberation from something and we were waiting for permission or some external circumstances to allow us to escape some situation that we had decided we wanted free of. And what happened instead is we figured out a way to pick the lock of our own prison. We figured out a way to blow up the entire jail. We figured out a way to not wait for the bailout. And in doing that, while the initial response might have been disappointment, like, oh, I'm not going to get the help I need, you became the help that you need. You became emotionally more resilient and resourceful. And now, in the Cancer full moon that approaches, you're able to look at what you were trying to do then and realize that some of those desires may still hold true for you, but you now have a much larger toolkit to deal with. And you're a different person than when you tried these things the first time or than when you were attempting them last year. Also, I want to mention Mercury is coming out of retrograde on the 8th, which is the day I'm doing this. And all the planets will be direct then, and they're going to be direct through early February. And this has traditionally been thought of as a very auspicious time to do things. And we're going to have the new moon coming up in Aquarius at the end of the month. And Aquarius loves new things. So if you've been not quite sure what you want to get a start on, and so you didn't start on January 1st, you didn't have a clear set of resolutions or plans or goals, I think that's just great, because by the end of January, things will be a lot clearer. And also, I think you're going to be able to see the fruits of some of your labors of last year and see how far you've really come. Because my guess is that is going to make a difference in the plans you make going forward. So I'm using the Hoi Polloi Tarot, which is a 1970s game version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So it's got psychedelic colors and slightly simplified backgrounds. So here is the central card, which is the Four of Pentacles. So I've talked a lot about this card before. I really have come to appreciate it. It is Taurus under the influence of Mercury. So this is about things that you hold dear, considering what you hold dear, because Mercury, especially while retrograde, Mercury's been asking you, think about what you hold dear. And in fact, the Cancer full moon is thinking that too, because there are fourth house issues of sort of home and emotional security. And Four of Pentacles is traditionally a card that has a lot to do with security. And the way I've talked about it before, it has a lot to do actually with this city in the background, because this king sitting here with these pentacles, one under each foot, holding one at his heart and one above his head, has to consider, how can I move forward if I'm holding on to all these things that I've inherited from the past? He's able to preserve these things, but he's not really able to grow with them because he has to contort himself so much to hold on to them. And it's a time that he has to look at the expectations of the people in the city behind him, who may expect him to keep on holding on to all these things, who might be willing to have him hold the bag for their problems or for their issues. So these are bringing up questions of responsibility, What responsibilities do you want? Which responsibilities do you hold dear? Which ones do you cherish? And which ones are getting in the way of your ability to move? And because it's with Mercury, Taurus under Mercury, you're being asked to consider that in a practical way. Really come to terms. And that's actually great now at this Cancer full moon as well, because with the planets all starting to go direct, you can really put in place some concrete pieces of your schedule and start seeing how the day-to-day activities you have play into responsibilities that you really value, inheritances you really value, but also things that are limiting you or weighing you down or inhibiting you. So I know we've been doing a lot of that stuff already, but I think it's time to do it now. But also to realize you're in the position of a king. This is a high-class problem now. The stuff that you've inherited is not just burdens. You've inherited great skills, great strengths, great potential, and great capacities. So it's about you making the most of it, not just feeling burdened and weighed down by it. So let's go into this card here. We've got the Star in the reverse, and we've got the Fool in the upright. Isn't that great? Okay. So the Star, which I will flip over so you can see it, is an Aquarian card. And we're going into a new moon in Aquarius. So it could be that you're getting ready to start these new things. The Star is also thought of as a card of guidance, of optimism, of forward looking, and of healing. So if we think of this card as being in the past position, it could have been that when you were trying to move forward before, when you were trying to make new moves forward, like let's say maybe July of last year, you weren't healed yet. You didn't have, not all your ducks in a row, that's not what I want to say. You weren't transformed by your experiences into the person you are now, right? So the question is, do you see these pentacles, as seed money, as seeds of something new, or do you see them as a burden weighing him down? Are these all the different tools that he's working with to build something great? Or are these every weighty thing that he wishes he didn't have to deal with? In many ways, your optimism, I feel, has probably been renewed. And this Star in the past might represent a lack of optimism, a lack of healing, just a feeling that things weren't going to work out. And so that might have been how you saw this kind of card, this kind of situation. But now you're moving towards the Fool card. And the Fool is, of course, carefree and excited to start things. And Uranus is in Aries and is direct now. So we've got these radical new beginnings that can be bold and innovative. And really Aquarius loves that. And we've got the new moon in Aquarius coming up. So there's this idea that where before you might have dealt with some of your goals or aspirations with a certain sense of desperation or woundedness or pessimism, now you're dealing with the sense of optimism and confidence and bravery. And that makes a big difference in the outcome you're going to get. But the reason that you're dealing with them in confidence and bravery is not just because you decided to have a better attitude. I mean, that's great, and sometimes we can do that. But the reason why you're dealing with it with this great trailblazing sense is because you have built up your own emotional resources. You have convinced yourself that you can do this, and you've done it the hard way. You've done it by surviving difficult situations. You've done it by navigating tough challenges, and you have earned your self-respect. So now, When you go out bravely, you don't feel like such a fool in the ridiculous sense of the word. You can feel more like a holy fool out on a great mission, out to have a great adventure. And you can trust yourself because you have gained the skills to manage this. You have remedied some of your previous woundedness. You have dealt with some of your lack of optimism. You have learned to trust your guidance and your internal guidance. And so now when you face these potential responsibilities, these potential goals, these opportunities, instead of feeling burdened or imprisoned or desperate about them, you feel wildly excited about the possibilities. That is really the energy that I see going on right now. And I hope that you're feeling it because it's way more fun. It's way more fun to be excited than to be filled with dread and sadness and grief. And I feel like the planetary energies and also just our own process is supporting this feeling. So I drew a card for the Oracle from the Shadows and Light Oracle. Nice. So here's what we have. Pink Lotus Fairy, which is number 43, if you can see here. And it says, a time for spirit. And what I think is sort of interesting is here she is posed with her mudras, and she's sitting in her lotus, and she looks very contemplative. If you look at this guy the right way, you can either see him as contorted or as in a mudra, that he's squaring the circle, that he's actually in this very balanced position that allows him to manage all these things. So I think this is a lot about perspective. How do you see it? But let me read from the book for you about the Pink Lotus Fairy. Okay. Here she is. You may love your guilt-free rants, staying up too late and happily behaving badly, but you're about to balance all that out with some very powerful new spiritual teachings and connections. You are about to meet a wise one who seems very still, very slow, and very peaceful. She will be tranquil and serene and immersed in a path that until now has felt too slow or foreign for you. But this teacher, represented by the Pink Lotus Fairy, will assist you in finding more of your soul's true wisdom. Within this time of inner discovery, you will commit to disciplined new training in the mental realms, study and physical movement that is unfamiliar, all of which helps you to naturally choose thoughts that are empowering and enlivening, yet completely authentic and real. You will learn to be still and to listen to the beat of your heart without giving in to restlessness or the critical voice inside or the cliches the ego loves to trip you up with. After you have learned more discipline through peaceful practice of meditation or exercise or mantras, you will nurture yourself more willingly, without guilt, and you will have returned to a place of tranquility, self-love, and peace. You will bring into balance your own shadows and light. Don't worry, you will be happier and more peaceful, but you won't be boring. You could never be. So I feel like with the Pink Lotus Fairy, we're talking about the ability to take on this new journey with a new sense of poise, with a new sense of peace. And it is the result of all the work we've been doing. And you may find that as you are moving down the path, you do receive help from someone, from a new person, from a new practice, from something new. Perhaps it's even something that you tried last year and you didn't feel like it was so great, but you're trying it now and it's really working for you and it's helping you move forward. But I feel like all of this is tremendously optimistic so that we can enjoy our goals and enjoy achieving them without so much of the angst and the pressure and the guilt that we might have felt in the past. So enjoy this Cancer full moon and rock on with your bad selves.